It is our distinct honor this morning, even though it's not the best of circumstances, but we are quite privileged today to have joining us in our church, right at our podium, the sheriff for the largest law enforcement agency in Palm Beach County. Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Rick Bradshaw is with us this morning. Sheriff, welcome.
Thank you, Pastor. Great to be here. Thank you for having me here. This is a great opportunity for you to ask me whatever you want, right? And for me to be able to talk to the people and say, look, this is what we're doing. Reassure them that we're going to do the best we can to make sure something like that does not happen here, and give them the facts.
Some of the questions from our members. The first question I want to read is this. Having seen the video of George Floyd's death, and having watched the protests, not just in America, but also around the world, what does it say to you, not as a sheriff, but personally?
Well, first of all, when I saw it, I was actually, my wife and I were sitting on the couch, and I looked at it, and I turned to her right off the bat, and I said, that's wrong on so many levels. It's wrong not only at the professional level, but just as a human being. As a human being, you don't want to see anybody suffer for any reason. And if they are, it's your job to help them, not continue to let somebody suffer. So that was my first impression, that no matter what was going on, somebody was asking for some help, and you need to help them. And that's an important thing to remember here. So there's no justification for that. In fact, I showed that video to my training people, my professional compliance people after I saw it, and I said, look, is there something there you see that I don't see? Because I want you to tell me that. And they said, no, there is no justification. Nobody can come up with anything. That man was not resisting. He should have been just put in the car. But once there was some difficulty and he's asking for some help, he needs to get the help. We have that in our policies, that if we arrest somebody, and we have to fight with people once in a while, but if there's an injury or they complain of something, we will get them a medical attention on the spot immediately. We will call the paramedics right there to help them and then get them the medical attention that they deserve.
And you're saying that's something that's in your policy?
That's in the policy, right there.
That's special. So I want to ask the question, what steps, because you must be doing something right, but we want to know what it is from your lips. What steps and culture have you as a sheriff nurtured to create a professional and impartial department? And what can other law enforcement agencies do to engender this type of relations? As we speak to our friends and relatives around the country, what can we take from you to share with them that you're doing you?
Well, that's a great question. And what first comes to my mind, and I'm going to refer to a piece of paper here. I've watched a lot of things transpiring on TV and a lot of people talking about this, but one of the things that I was really impressed with was former President Obama gave a speech. And during that speech, he outlined some things in his estimation in talking with other professionals that he thought should happen. And there were 8 things, and he called it 8 can't wait, right? And I just want to refer to that because it's important. First was ban chokeholds and strangleholds.
Yes.
All right? The second one was require training for de-escalation of violent circumstances. The third one, require a warning before somebody's going to get shot. Okay? The fourth one was try to exhaust all means before you have to use deadly force. Another one was the duty of other officers to intervene when they see something that's wrong. Don't just stand there like the other police officers were in Minneapolis and just watch it happen, right? If you think that something's wrong, you need to step in and do something about it. Ban shootings at moving vehicles. Require use of force continuum. In other words, don't start at the top. Work your way up. In other words, if there's no resistance, then you don't have to use force. And there's a level that goes up depending on what the suspect level of violence is to you. And finally, require a comprehensive reporting system on uses of force. I'm here to tell you, we do all of those things. We don't have to institute them. We've already instituted those things. We have these systems in place. And that's important for people to know. right? Because the former president says, you gotta do these. We're doing them, and we're doing them very well. And I want to talk a little bit about the reporting system,
Yes.
right? I did a little bit of research. We made 17,000 arrests last year. 17,000. Of those 17,000 arrests, less than 3.5% required any force at all. Now that means handcuffing somebody all the way till you got to fight with them to get them in the car, right? And most of the 3.5% were very, very minor uses of force. That tells you a lot right there, that the deputies are trying to effect arrests with the minimal amount of force. 17,000 arrests, that's a lot. And we handled 1.2 million calls for service. So 1.2 million times we came in contact with people out here on the road. And less than 3.5% resulted in any type of force at all. I think that's pretty good. But going farther than that, every time any use of force is used, the officer is required to report it, a supervisor is required to investigate it, it is documented in a written form, and it is kept on file. And if there's any inappropriate conduct, then some action will be taken. Also, we have what we call an early warning system. And that early warning system is, if a deputy has more uses of force within a certain period of time, then we take the deputy, bring him in, interview him, see if he needs remedial training, see if he needs reassignment, but we just don't turn our back on it like what happened in Minnesota, where this guy had all of these things going on and nobody's addressing it.
Exactly.
So not only do we have that reporting system and investigative system, we also have an early warning system. So I think it's important for the people to know that these systems are in place. Now, as far as the culture is concerned, and this goes a little bit to how we connect with the community, all right? And I want you to know that these policies and procedures have been reviewed by subject matter experts on a national level. There's a Police Executive Research Forum, which is a national organization out of Washington, D.C., that actually reviews these things because we're an accredited agency through the state, and we always get top ratings for what our policies and procedures are. So we know that they're good. But more than that, we encourage the deputies to interact with the community, right? We're a huge county, the largest county east of the Mississippi in the United States, land-wise, right? So we're spread out. Belgrade, Boca Raton, Jupiter, and all of them have different people to deal with, different demographics. So we encourage the deputies to become part of the community. You saw that during this COVID and pandemic, all right? You saw deputies out there handing out food to people, doing food drives, interacting with the people in the neighborhoods. That tells you their connection right there. But I've also started regional citizen advisory boards in 4 different regions in this county, where the citizens come together and they talk with the leadership in these different districts and regions, and they have a dialogue. If they have something that's a problem, we talk about it. We've also instituted a tremendous amount of neighborhood programs. I've put almost $10 million back into the community for community programs, after-school programs, programs to get people jobs. We work with the Urban League. In fact, I have a member on the Urban League's board. I give them money for work programs to find people work. These are all things that you connect with the community about. You can't just sit back and think things are going to happen. You have to put your money where your mouth is and put the money into the community to make things happen and connect with the community groups to hear what they're talking about. And that's very, very important. So the assurances that I try to give people is exactly the list that I read. You know, the former president thought that those 8 things, if you were doing those 8 things, that the chances of something bad like that happening were far less, right? But there's a saying, and I told you this earlier. You cannot stop stupidity. I don't care how many of these things you write. I don't care how much training you do. And we do really good training. In fact, the minute that a deputy comes on board, the first training they get is ethics, right? And racial profiling, that is wrong and not going to be tolerated, and bias policing. That's the very first day that they start. Those are the important things. Ethics. Realize you have biases. I don't care who you are. If you say you're not biased in some particular form, you're not telling the truth. We all have it. I don't care who you are, right? It's how you deal with that that's important. And we stress that to the deputies. So the assurances that I would give the people in the community is this. I understand where you're coming from, but I'm doing the best that I can do to assure you that you don't have to fear us, that we're here to help you. We're here, just like in the COVID, we're here to help you. We're here to bring food to your neighborhoods. We're here to protect your neighborhoods. But I just really, really, from the bottom of my heart, I want to tell the mothers and the fathers and the people and the grandmothers out here, we're not here to harm you. We're not here to oppress you. We're here to help you in every circumstance available, right? So call us, we will come and help you. Whether it's this COVID, whether we're in hurricanes, whether you've got gangs in your community, call us. We're going to work with you, we're going to talk with you, and we're going to resolve the issues that we need to resolve. We're your friends, we're your neighbors. We live here.
I think there's something about this George Floyd incident that has resonated around the world. It has no geographical borders at all, as you could tell. Because of your experience, you've served for about 50 years.
50 years.
That's amazing, and congratulations, and thank you so much for your service. 50 years of service. You've seen a lot.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here as a nation, as a people?
Where we go from here is, this cannot be the cycle. It's like Ferguson. Things happened, we had the riots, we had disturbances, they calmed down, and then everybody went back to business as usual. But I just really, really, from the bottom of my heart, I want to tell the mothers and the fathers and the people and the grandmothers out here, we're not here to harm you. We're not here to oppress you. We're here to help you in every circumstance available, right? So call us, we will come and help you. Whether it's this COVID, whether we're in hurricanes, whether you've got gangs in your community, call us. We're going to work with you, we're going to talk with you, and we're going to resolve the issues that we need to resolve. We're your friends, we're your neighbors. We live here.
I think there's something about this George Floyd incident that has resonated around the world. It has no geographical borders at all, as you could tell. Because of your experience, you've served for about 50 years.
50 years.
That's amazing, and congratulations, and thank you so much for your service. 50 years of service. You've seen a lot.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here as a nation, as a people?
Where we go from here is, this cannot be the cycle. It's like Ferguson. Things happened, we had the riots, we had disturbances, they calmed down, and then everybody went back to business as usual. It can't be like that. If people got that in their mind, then they have no expectation that something can change, right? And listen, even though you're doing the best you can do, you can always do better. I can always do better. I can always make the relationships in the community better than it is. So I'm not saying it's perfect, and I'm willing to try to do better. In fact, even with the policies and procedures that I have, they're good. They're as good as I think they can be. But if somebody brings me something that I think can enhance it and make it better, I'll do that too. So we have to have an open mind. We have to have the dialogue. We can't stop it. We have to put together a cross-section of people, professionals, people in the industry, citizens that have concerns. And if they find out that some of these things are not being done, then they need to be instituted. Because you have, 26 police departments in the county. So there has to be some unification, some standard policies that meet this criteria on all the agencies, not just a couple. It's not going to do any good if I do it and Boynton does it. But my guess is there's a lot of them, because they are accredited agencies, are doing all this or pretty close to it. So they're willing to listen to that. So the key here is, let's listen. Let's not let this go away. Let's make sure that the policies are doing right. And also realize that the vast majority of not only the deputies, but law enforcement, their heart's in the right place. They're trying to do the right thing. Don't paint us all with the same brush. Just about, and I say just about everybody that I talk to in the law enforcement profession looked at that and immediately knew it was wrong. Immediately. There wasn't any question. There wasn't, well, what about this? What about that? Some people would say, well, what did the guy do ahead of time? It does not matter. It does not matter what he did before he got arrested. All right? Once the handcuffs are on and there's no fight, it's over with. It's not up to punish people. That's not our job to punish people. Our job is to take the people into custody and put them into the system. So once the fight's over, the handcuffs are on, that's it. They go to the system. That's the important part.
I'm going to ask you now, any final thoughts that you'd like to share? And then, if you don't mind, this is a church. We want to pray for you and pray for your team before you go.
Well, thank you. And again, thank you for having me here. It was a great idea. The questions were great, very thoughtful, put together well. So again, I just want to look at everybody. I wish I was having you here in front of me, but I want you to understand that this really does come from the bottom of my heart. I want you to trust us. I want you to call on us for help. We want to demonstrate that. And I think the fact that we've had very, very little problems here in Palm Beach County is a testament